All right, we are at day 3, the Beaver Creek Summit with the one, the only Shawn Khunkhun, Dolly Varden. We are doing a state of the silver market, state of the union right now. Shawn, you've illuminated us greatly through the year. Phenomenal. If you guys haven't checked it out, go check it out. We did, they're on Twitter Spaces, but then they go into podcast for those that don't do the Twitter thing, but you should. Those were great conversations, like really illuminating the silver market. This has been great. It's been a great conference in terms of honing up where we sit in the cycle for the stocks plus the metals. Maybe I could ask you, can we separate that? Let's start with the metal, silver, and then just secondarily where the stocks sit right now. From my broader perspective, I'd have to say this is a very, it feels like we're in a real sweet spot. Maybe you can define that for the audience in a clearer way in terms of the commodity, silver, and then down to the equities and where they fit.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the best opportunities for investors that maybe in the last 100 years. From the standpoint of
this is a real state of the union.
This is a real statement here.
Guys, wake up, everybody! 100 years right here.
No, but if you look at it, the Silver Institute is calling for a 230 million ounce deficit in 2023.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen metals stay in deficit for up to 2 years before the price surges, but never beyond that. So, and I've seen other situations where the metal price has got ahead of that shortage. So I really think we're in a place where our worst case scenario is we're going to be in a mania phase of the precious metals equities by the spring of 2024.
Right.
So I really think this is the moment. I'm looking at the month of October, which historically has been a tough month in the stock market, as the last great buying opportunity ahead of this move that's coming in silver and specifically silver equities.
That's helpful. So it's this, you've got this deficit, a significant deficit, and you've got this window here where you can...
Like depending on how far you want to look.
Yeah.
Like if you want to look into the future and we want to talk about the use case for silver, solar panels, the growing industrial usage, we could talk about silver going to all-time and record new highs. But what's really interesting is a friend of mine, Chris Marcus, Arcadia Economics, who has done a ton of work on silver. He's a silver expert. Chris told me something that was really profound, which was, let's take out the 2 spike highs in silver. So the 1980 spike high to 50, the 2011 spike high to 50. Let's remove those.
Okay.
Silver is actually close to an all-time high. It looks like it's breaking out. And if you look at gold, right? If you look at gold, and I'm just talking US dollars, in all other currencies, these metals have already broken out. Right?
That's right.
And so...
You got a great tweet about it. You got a great tweet on it, and then I was like, wait a minute, I'm just going to plot it. In terms of a chart, the gold and yen terms is an incredible chart.
Yeah.
It's outperformed topics and the Nikkei. Like in terms of a Japanese investor being indifferent to a risk equity, that's incredible. You're getting better returns on the gold. Sorry, I just stopped you there. But yeah, that great tweet. Yeah.
And so I look at a lot of factors when I look at where I forecast these metal prices going, and I've never seen a silver move when gold has not been in a bullish stance. So the fact that gold is also at or near all-time highs in almost every currency, including the strong US dollar, gives me a lot of confidence that all these other indicators, supply, demand, the technicals, momentum, we are setting up for what I think is going to be a historic market coming in the spring of 2024. And that's just around the corner. Yeah,
so Frank, the keynote was fantastic, and one thing he made mention of central banks buying gold, right? And that's really been driven by emerging markets. Maybe just want to touch on just maybe where we sit. That clearly is not going away. I want to confirm that that is a feature here that we're looking at. So you have buying, and then you have retail buying. Is that the kind of idea that you're layering on from here?
Yeah, sure. And really, this is a theme that's been going on for 24 years. We ended in the year 2000, and you look at guys like Frank Justra or Eric Sprott, who'd written papers about why they became bullish on gold in and around 2000. One of the biggest reasons was what central banks were doing. And now we see them accumulating metal again. And that's usually, and we were in a place where going into the 90s where metal prices were low, central banks were actually sellers of the metal. And now they've switched to being net buyers.
Right. So incredible spot we sit right now in the macro. Now, down to Dolly Varden. Okay. Could you give us a background on Dolly Varden and the opportunity the Golden Triangle? Like, to talk to us about why this, and why this opportunity for you.
Yeah. Well, listen. Again, I got behind Dolly Varden 3 years ago because first of all, you have to be early.
Yeah.
Right. Just like you have to be a buyer now for that move in the spring. You will miss it. These stocks will move up 3x, 10x, 20x. And if you're not invested in them now, you're going to miss that move. It happens that quickly. And so why Dolly Varden? I love the area. Okay, there's mines like Premier, SK, and these are just names for your viewers.
Yeah.
But we're talking about 200 million ounces of gold, 1 billion ounces of silver, at the richest grades on the planet, the highest concentrations, and it's in Canada.
Yeah.
It's a stable, friendly mining jurisdiction. So for me, when I set out to build a silver mining company, I thought location, grade, and size. And so what we've accomplished is we've positioned some very great investors, mining companies, billionaire investors, big institutions. We've got enough capital, we've got a great project, so we've got a big deposit, and we're growing it through drilling. We're also growing it by consolidating, buying other properties that are around the project.
Maybe just an aside there, like an off track here. Someone was asking me about just precious metals mining and precious metals investing right now. And in a way, I kind of was saying, listen, from a sentiment perspective, it's not. We're at that point where it's a unique spot where this is where you accumulate. But the important part is this is actually where stock picking's easy, because there's very few companies that you don't have to worry about all the junk that can't get financed. This is where the true projects stand out, where your population set is small and it makes your life easier. Maybe you could talk about that dynamic, because where we sit right now, I see a lot of companies searching for capital.
Sure.
You guys are fortunate because you have the right backing, but maybe from a macro perspective, just what is that advantage right now specifically?
So because capital is scarce, which is why valuations are low, and the stock market is the only market in the world when it's on sale, nobody wants to buy it.
Yeah.
And that's when you need to buy it. So because capital is scarce, you've got just so few projects that are getting advanced and growing. And so you can identify those projects. You're right, there's only a handful of names. So that's an opportunity. The other challenge is when you get into a bull market, information and money is moving so quickly, we will not have time to properly evaluate and make good investment decisions. I remember being in situations where I'd have seconds. A news release would hit the tape in 2010, and I'd have seconds to react, or the cost would be 10, 20, 30%.
Right. Yeah.
I can now slowly walk up, do my due diligence, get to know management, get to know the asset, and have the time to build a position. This is, as painful as it is, because you want to put money to work, and you want to see that money appreciate. And but the reality is, if you really like something, it's like what Warren Buffett says.
Yeah.
Right.
We will when there's blood on the street, right?
Well, also, if you like something say you like Dolly Varden at 70 cents and then it's trading at 60, you should be buying more.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. That truly is, when we think about positions, we think, listen, unless something has fundamentally changed, you got to resize up to what your original position size is.
And today was a great example. So, my assumption is we've got a ETF rebalancing occurring.
Yeah.
Third Friday of the end of the quarter, and if you look at Dolly Varden's volume and share price today, we had a big move.
Yeah.
And so
that was a big move today.
Big move today, right? And we're talking north of a 10% move in one day on good volume, and it's been building upon a few days of success. So the cumulative move is over 20%.
Yeah.
Like the cost to not be in these names now is going to be punitive.
It's, and that's kind of when the time to do your due diligence, to do your homework is now,
Yeah.
right? As you just said, you can't really do it at the top. You got to find the horses you want to back. But with something like silver, where things can move so quickly, you have to then establish the position. You may be able to top up, but it's going to be very hard to add your initial position at that kind of parabolic move.
And if you look historically at those spike highs, they happen in a matter of weeks. Like we're talking about the metal doubling or tripling in price in weeks.
Coming back to one of our Twitter spaces, I think you mentioned an example of that happening. It was in recent memory, right? Where silver equities basically just mooned in a very short period.
If we just go back 3 summers, and we go back to 2020, and we look at the price move in silver, it was a 50% move in 6 weeks. And a lot of these stocks, you're seeing 300 to 600% moves on the equities, and the reason for that is the average silver producer, all-in cost to produce an ounce of silver is about $20, right? So the difference between $23 silver and $26 silver is 100% profitability. Right? And that's why companies can move up billions of dollars in value, right? Or dollars a share. Because of that sensitivity. So what happens if we get $29 silver, $32 silver?
And that's like, coming back to the sensitivity of that input of silver into silver mining companies, it's very powerful.
The easiest way to look at it for any investor is right now, if you took the silver industry, ounces in the ground, they're trading at less than $1 an ounce in the ground. Okay? We will get back to a point where those ounces trade at $3 and $4 an ounce in the ground. Now, you're going to see a 300 to 400% move on these silver names, but what if a company is adding to their mineral inventory, adding to their production, running a good business, and growing their resources, and that's where you get that outperformance.
Well, it's loud, it's rowdy here, right? It's a shot, that.
They like what I'm saying.
Yeah. The Silver Summit right here, right now. State of the Union. They're going bonkers. They're buying overnight in Japan. No, so Shawn, coming to that, expanding resources, and the really important point here, you're executing a very ambitious drill program over 40,000 meters plus, and you've added a rig. Could you talk about what 2023 means in terms of resource expansion?
So we've upped our drill meters to 55,000 meters.
Oh, right.
And what's crazy is we're doing it for the same price as a 45,000 meter drill program. To put that into context, we're giving our shareholders $4 million of drilling at the same price. We're saving, it's an incredible statement.
Value manager here, value manager.
You know what, it's my team.
Yeah.
And it's actually all Mother Nature. Weather's been pristine this year. And so it's been an incredible season. And so that's going to give us that many more drill holes, that many more opportunities to advance this project. So we've announced about 10,000 meters of drilling.
Yeah.
We have another 45,000 meters. Like, just to put that into context, if you go back a year or two, Dolly Varden would drill 10,000 meters in an entire season.
Right.
Okay? We're now doing 55,000 meters, so it's, we're adding that much more silver.
That's incredible, and the results have been very good, right? Like, maybe you could talk through the 10K that's come out already.
Well, what we're finding is as we drill deeper, the veins are wider and they're a higher grade. So the veins are intensifying. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So on Monday, we just announced we've got this deposit called Wolf. It was a small little deposit. And we've now got 1 kilometer of strike length. We've been stepping out 95 meters, 75 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters. We just keep hitting it and hitting it and hitting it. And it's still open and we're still hitting it.
Wow.
But what's happening is that 9-meter vein is now 29 meters and the grades are intensifying. So the 29 meters is averaging 381 grams per ton, which is...
That's huge.
Now, this is another thing that's crazy about Dolly Varden. anything under 150 grams of silver per ton,
Yeah.
we don't count. Not in the resource.
Wow.
So if you look at if you own silver equities, look at their average grade, and so we've probably got 2 or 3 times the amount of silver we have, but we only focus on what we think is going to be economic.
Fantastic. So putting that all together, we've just only announced 10,000. You've got another 40 to come. So the catalyst here just really expand this resource, right?
Listen, I've said this before, the stock market's all about growth.
Yeah.
And how I'm growing Dolly Varden is through discovery, through adding, through extending these veins, to putting more ounces into inventory. What's going to do that are these drill results. Every time we step out, we're adding millions of ounces of silver, and that comes into our bottom line. So when you want to keep valuing us at $1 an ounce in the ground, that's fine. We've gone from 40 million ounces to 140 million ounces. That's why we've increased $100 million in value. We're going to keep growing the ounces, but once we get that revaluation, that's when this company,
and that really is that giving the investor optionality, right? So if I just sat on a silver resource waiting for my dollar per ounce to go up,
it's not a bad strategy,
right?
Because
that's a 3-bagger, that's a 4-bagger.
My thinking was initially, let's advance it, and then when I started seeing how successful the team was, I thought, okay, let's go. So we went from 1 rig to 3 to 4, 5 now, and they're going 24 hours a day, and the results are good, and as long as it's open and we're adding, we'll keep going. Now, if we reach the extent of this system, maybe we pull back, and then we go, okay, it's time to develop it, it's time to take it into production, but this is a business that's all about growth, and discovery is the greatest way to drive value for shareholders.
That's powerful. And so because I was going to ask, at what point do you say this?
Never.
Right?
Because
right.
when I started, my goal was to get to 100 million ounces of silver.
Right.
Now my goal is to get to 1 billion ounces of silver. And so that's going to take a little bit of time to get to. And I really think, to put that into context, I think we're 15% in terms of exploiting the potential of this project.
Incredible. Shawn, it's always illuminating. This is Dolly Varden, Shawn Khunkhun. If you guys, we've done a great body of work. It's always been fun, and just, things are getting super interesting, just given the timeline we're seeing going forward. Lots of great information here. Shawn, we'll stay in touch. We're going to keep it going.
All right.
You're at the Silver Summit right now.
That's right.
Seat of the Union. Shawn Khunkhun. Thank you guys. Back.